we'll be talking to Winston Peters, who's rung in, and he says he wants to have a chat. We've invited him onto the show this morning. He says, I'm happy to talk to you. So we will put that issue to him a little bit later on, of the bottom lines and also of the way in which he wants to branch the COVID inquiry out as well. And he joins us now. Right Honourable Winston Peters, welcome, my friend. Lovely to have you on the show again.
Good morning.
Where are you today?
Just come back from Christchurch, driving in from the airport now. So if the phone doesn't seem to be a great reception, it's not. It's because we're on the road.
Oh, that's all right. No, it's good to talk to you, mate. So you did the Christchurch, or that leaders' debate last night. How do you felt that went last night?
Well, it was a bit of a circus, actually. I mean, it was a loaded crowd that cheered every time somebody said they'd spend billions of dollars of somebody else's money. It was unbelievable. But I suppose we got our points away in the end.
Do you think, as a general rule, though, Winston, that debates at all have enlightened anybody over the course of this election campaign?
Not this one, no, but they should have. Yeah, this has been the worst, most unreal campaign I've ever been experienced in my life. It's about sausage rolls and ice cream on the 6 o'clock news night after night. It's photo opportunities and not real politics, not public meetings. I don't think the Green Party's had a meeting in this whole campaign, frankly.
Yeah, no, you might be right, actually. They certainly haven't had any public meetings that I'm aware of. No, listen, the other thing, I also say from an outsider's perspective of this election, I don't think I've ever been bribed as much as I've been bribed this election, Winston, in all my adult life.
That'll be precisely right. And where they're getting the money from, I don't know. I mean, they've got our manifesto out there, $19 billion less than Labour's, and yet they're out there tossing money around like a traditional eight-armed octopus. Where they're going to get it from, it's impossible because the money's not there. We are broke.
Well, and that's the thing that came out of last night's debate that I've seen reports of, and we've just discussed this morning, that really the Greens and Te Pāti Māori, for example, who would be part of any coalition should the left get in, they are not talking about making more money. They're simply talking about redistributing the money that's out there, taking from those who have and giving to those who haven't. Have I got that right?
Yes, but there's not with a social purpose. It's just pure communism now. This is pure Marxism. I mean, what you can see here is Myanmar or Burma, once the most successful economy nation, collapsed. Venezuela, the most successful economy in South America, now collapsed. That's what this leads to. It's irresponsible in the extreme.
Okay. Now, a couple of quick questions. You are going to get in, Winston, obviously on Saturday. It's only a question of what percentage of the vote you get. I think the polls have been quite clear on that. And usually, you know as well as I do, that mainstream polls generally underestimate the New Zealand First vote. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, they do massively.
But that would then mean that all three of you have got to get together to form a coalition government. That's National, ACT and New Zealand First. Do you envisage any difficulty in creating that coalition?
No more than the normal difficulty of getting people around a room and discussing things and thrashing them out. But to be out there scaremongering and trying to frighten people about something that has never been mentioned in a campaign since 1854, that's a long time back, is just showing panic and inexperience. That's what it's showing.
Hasn't it really, though? You know, when you look back on Monday, won't you actually look back and go, wow, I'm glad they did raise that because they've raised your profile so much. In a funny sort of way, the tactics have been all wrong. They haven't decreased your support, they've increased it, haven't they?
Well, you might be right about that, excepting it still shows serious inexperience. These people have never been in cabinet before. They need to start having treating people with a bit of dignity and realising that it's about the people's needs, not their own, ego wise or whatever.
Well, can I suggest about 9 o'clock on Saturday night, Winston, you'll get plenty of dignity.
We shouldn't laugh at our own jokes, Michael. We shouldn't laugh at our own jokes.
It's true, though. You know how it works, and so do I. Hey, listen, the other thing is, bottom lines, when you go into those negotiations on Monday morning, do you have any bottom lines, or do you go, no, we're going to do our best? Because you're not going to get all of New Zealand First policy through, are you?
Well, the reality is you really are going in there to get the maximum you can possibly get, given that you don't have all the votes, and you've got to try and magnify the support that your people gave you by your wise negotiations and your wise dealing with other political parties. But to walk in with bottom lines is very, very difficult to do because there always are bottom lines, but people usually keep it to themselves. Beyond that, they will not go. And
Now,
yes, there are things that are politically important to us.
and what would they be? What would they be?
We've campaigned against racism and separatism in this country, and I've seen all sorts of places doing compromise and think they can tweak it. You can't tweak apartheid, you can't tweak separatism, you can't tweak racism. And we're determined to make this, to settle this matter against radical Maori and others right here and right now.
Okay, well, that would seem quite a good overlay with ACT, actually. So it's actually National you need to convince on that. I would suggest not yourself or not ACT. On the other issue, though, Winston, can I ask this question? Are you determined that New Zealand First and yourself, obviously, will be sitting around that cabinet table as well, rather than sitting outside it?
Oh, look, the fact is that people have asked us, voting for us, because they believe that they need experience, they need people who've got common sense, and they expect us to do our best. And that's what we're going to try and do. I can't understand why there's so much defeatism out there, because it was part of a tactic put out sadly by National and ACT, and it's not doing any good for them at all.
Jim Bolger's come out in the last 24 hours and said, listen, I worked fine with Winston. He had his point of view. I didn't have a problem with his point of view. He would argue his side. We would work together. He said other people disrupted that National New Zealand First coalition back in 96 and it wasn't you. Do you agree with that?
Well, look, I've got to tell you, I got a shock when that came out of left field, but here's somebody coming out and saying, no, what you're saying, Mr. Seymour and others in the National Party, is not true. And then you got Helen Clark said the same thing, said that's not true. You've got former ministers of this current government who've gone now, who've said that's not true, inviting them to me. So what you've got is just scaremongering of the worst sort, and that really throws doubt on the integrity, if there is any, of politics, so to speak.